Okay, I wanted to go on the journey a little bit with the well and the septic where I'm at so far. Originally I got to get this property, I was able to, with a friend's help, get a land only loan. It is technically not a construction loan. It is a loan that is for land only, as well as land improvement, which included a well and a septic. These are rare. These are hard to get. This is really difficult to get. I was only able to get this because I had help from a friend. So I wanted to make sure that that was known, because it's not easy and it costs a lot of money. And so I had a friend that was willing to invest, and I'm so grateful for that. And that will definitely come back to them. And I'm so honored to have had that kind of support to be able to go on this journey. So with that, when I found out that there is a possibility that they could include the well and the septic in the loan, it was just miraculous. I don't think I knew I know I didn't know at all. I have no construction background, so I didn't know how much a well and a septic would cost. In fact, when I've asked around and talked to people, the numbers that they gave me, way different. Things cost so much more now. And I was blown away when I thought, oh my gosh, now I know why land developers make so much money, right? It's a lot. And you have to have money to make money. And I don't have a lot of money. So I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to be able to do this? What can I do? When I found out that you can get a loan that includes both of those, it was a game changer. It was like, wow, maybe this dream is possible. Maybe this is going to happen. And I knew it was anyway, but like the how sometimes, right? Oh my gosh, how is this going to work out? I don't know if I could do this. It does. It works out. So with that being said, we went to, in order to get the loan approved, you have to get quotes. I have a friend who was able to connect me with a well driller and the name of a septic designer, because I didn't know where to even begin to start with this. And in order to get the loan approved, you have to have quotes for each, with signatures, knowing that these people are going to be working on your project. The septic designer is able to map out the property and show you like, hey, there is, this is where this goes, this is where that goes. And it is in alignment with the, what do you call it? The rules of the creek, the Shoreline Master Program. That's what I was thinking of. Okay. So we started there. I learned that the septic design is separate from the septic installation. And there are people out there that do both, but oftentimes they're separated. I didn't know that. He had said he was subbing it out, which I thought meant that he was going to hire somebody and I would just pay him directly. So I got a quote from him for the septic design. And then I got another quote for the septic installation from the same person. And that was given to the loan officer to be able to move forward for the loan. Then I met with a couple different drillers, because the first driller had a great quote. I was having trouble getting a hold of, had a great rapport. I got an estimate-ish from them, but I was having trouble getting an actual quote. So then the designer gave me another person to come out here and get a quote, who is also phenomenal, really responsive, but quite a bit more money. And so I had the quote come through for the drilling, and the drilling is separate from the pump that you need when you get a well. I don't know these things. I'm like, well, to me, it's just unfolding as you go, right? I have no construction experience. You just have to ask questions. And I figured, since I'm on this journey, I might as well teach you guys what I have learned. This is very baseline level information. I'm sure it varies with every place you go and where you're at. It depends on the contractors and what's happening. I'm just kind of explaining this to you guys so that you know what I go through so that you know a little bit more about my process. And if you ever go down the road and want to learn about what it's going to take to build what I'm building, you can reference this whole experience and see it and learn, right? So very overhead level, and I don't have the right terminology for all these things, but I'm just telling you. So 2 people for the septic, which is the designer and then the installer. 2 people for the well, which is the driller and then the pump. So I've gotten those quotes. I submitted the quotes in. I have these signatures, and then I went into a loan that, excuse me, was a loan for where they hold it in escrow, meaning they don't release the money until it is signed off and approved by the inspectors, by the county, by the powers to be. So the biggest concern on this property that I was running up against was the septic drain field needing to be pretty large, and it has to be 100 feet away from the well and at least 100 feet away from the creek, which put it in only one location. So when you've got the house behind you, we've got like a little wraparound driveway here. The center of this circle, half circle, that's where the wraparound driveway is, the roundabout, if you will. The center is the only place on this whole property, because of the way that the creek is shaped, that I'm able to do the septic drain field. And the septic drain field is really what determines where the well goes, where this goes. So the very first thing I had to start with was the septic design. They came out, they measured, they said, this is the spot, this is where you can go. I talked to the county and I asked them, what size do I need to have? Like, what do I need to do if I'm gonna have a business on here as well? Because I'm gonna build an amazing retreat and a space, you know, for people to stay, for people to enjoy, you know, healing, and for wonderful meetings, etc., seminars, right? So I need to have enough capacity to be able to take care of the need of a commercial space as well as a residential. So I had to go for a larger septic. And every county has different limitations and rules, but you know, these are, again, a general overview of what I'm learning through this whole process. So the rules that I opted for a larger septic system to be able to go into place so that I was able to be at capacity, you know, to grow into the future. It's not something that I have to have immediately, but I will later, and it's much better to get it done now than later, right? Everybody's like, just do it now. So we put that in. We're put in the septic design to be permitted with the county, and I just got a call today that the permit is being approved and is going to be moving forward. I'm so excited. So that's done, and before the septic can go in, they needed to have the well drilled because the well drill is kind of up in the air. Excuse me. Goodness. So the well drill is, I think, it can be anywhere from 150 feet to 400 feet in this general area. It varies that much from where I'm living. It's a huge difference, and that's tens of thousands of dollars difference, right? So I did get a quote with who I'm moving forward with for up to 300 feet, which is great. But if it goes over 300 feet, that means that money that's set aside in escrow in my bank, like with the loan, is going to have to go towards the well before it can go towards the septic, which can drastically change what my next step will be. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I have to keep stopping the video to cough. I think I'm having allergies out here. My bad. Okay. So yes, it's going to drastically change the direction I can go with the septic if I don't get the well done. So You have to apply for a state permit to get the well dug. So that's coming next. That's the next big step, is the drill. When the drill goes through, then we will be able to know what size of septic I can get. They did put in the permit for the size of septic that I want, and that just got approved. Yay. But we have to put in the well next. So I'm waiting for the drill to happen for the well, and then I'll get the pump involved, and then I will be able to kind of move forward with the septic install. So my person that, I guess through this whole process, that has been doing the septic design has been really wonderful, but he only does the design, and I learned later that he needed to be paid out before I was going to be able to get the permit submitted. And the septic design was not going to be paying for the septic installer. Usually people have a general contractor that does this stuff for them. I'm only teaching you this because it's what I've learned, and I don't have a general contractor because I cannot afford it. So that means that I had to come up with the funds to be able to pay for the septic designer before he would submit the permit, so we could move forward with the septic, so on and so forth. So we got that figured out. I was able to get an exception in the loan to be able to get him paid out. And luckily, we're moving forward with the septic. The design has gone through, getting approved. As soon as the well is drilled and we have that idea, then we can kind of start with that. But the person that he originally had coming out to quote the septic install had quoted like $8,000 more than what he originally had said when we got the loan. So this whole journey has been a huge process of learning, understanding. I don't have $8,000 extra to go towards that. I don't know where I'm going to get that, how that's going to work. I've just been so stressed out about it. And luckily, the wonderful electrical company in the area, Skamania PUD, recommended a local person who was able to come in with a better quote, save me a ton of money, and is able to take out these gigantic trees that the county is requiring me to. I mean, I'm going like this so you can kind of see these trees, like 150 feet. I mean, they're massive, and they're dead. And so they have to go before I can put in my septic, before I can start the build. There are so many things that have to happen before you could do other things with this whole process. So I know it's a lot to sit and just listen to me and talk about it, but I think it's important that we just teach each other, like teach people what's going on, what your process was, what you learned. So luckily, the new septic people, sweetest people, it's Chris McNeely and his team out here in Skamania County, phenomenal. He's going to be able to take down the trees for me, as well as do the excavation for the septic, and do excavation for a little area so I can get my well drilling truck where I needs to be drilled, all for the price that was originally quoted for the loan. Amazing guy, amazing team that they're willing to work with me to get that all laid out. And then they're working with Corey McNair with McNair Septic out here to do the design. So they coincide together, they work together as a team to kind of make sure that that design comes into play, and then I have the county come out and inspect it, and then they get paid out. The well area, and you can walk with me, is a very short space that I have, that the only area on the entire property that would be able to have the well, because of the rules of having to be 100 feet away from the septic drain field, and the drain field has to be 100 feet away from the creek. So the only space that would really work to be able to put a well on this property is going to be over here. So it's right behind where the existing garage is. And look at that tiny little space to drive. You can kind of see back there, there is a little pink flag. That's where the well is needing to go. But because there's only so much space between the land and the garage to fit a gigantic well drilling truck, I have to have somebody excavate, come in and dig out part of this land, take out the dead tree trunk that's right here and a smaller tree in order to be able to get back there to drill the well. Generally, it would take a requirement of certain piping. I'm not a well driller, so I don't know the rules, but some wells need an insulator, like a pipe that goes down to protect the water from being contaminated by the ground around it. I don't know a ton about well drilling, but this is what I've learned. If that's the case, if that sheathing needs to go in, then usually they have two gigantic trucks that have to be butt to butt, back to back, that fit in to have it drilled. But again, I don't know if it's serendipity, happenstance, or just amazing alignment coming into place. But because of this area, because of the land and the type of land it is, that's not required. So then we're able to put a well on this property because I only need one truck that's going to come in and back directly up it. I mean, it could change when it happens. When they get in there and they start drilling, they need to, have something else. They'll need to have that sheathing come in, and that's a whole nother story. Then I might have to do I have to probably knock down the garage and do a bunch of other things if that's the case, which you just have to do what you got to do. But so far, from what I know, they just need to have that done. So Chris McNeely and his team is going to come out and dig this area over here before they start with the septic, because they're just really wonderful people, and help me out to get that completely cleared so that I can get the well truck in and have the well drilled. That will be happening soon. They just put in a permit, submitted the permit for release to get the well done, and it was like a 72-hour release, and they said that they should be having it starting drilling by the end of this month. So I'm gonna film it with you guys. I'm gonna show you guys what's going on, and you'll know the process as it's happening with me, as it's happening here. And I'm excited to show you. So once the well is drilled, then I get a pump person to come out, and then I'll have Chris come out and start taking down the trees and installing the septic. And that has been my journey so far. There's a lot of other rules. There's certain things that I'd love to be able to do and myself, but there's a lot of things that you can't do yourself because you have to have certain licensures with the county, with the state, to be able to legally do those. So I'm excited to work with, I didn't tell you guys, the well drillers that I'm working with are Pacific Geotechnical. Originally, I was going to work with a wonderful person that's a local guy here, but his quote came up quite a bit higher, and I was able to work with Matt with Pacific Geotechnical and his amazing team. I think Jacob Zeman, I think is his name, and some other people that were willing to work with me without having to put in a lot more money down, which really was a lifesaver for me. So they're amazing, flexible, such a cool crew. And then working with McNair Septic and then McNeely for the excavation and septic input has been just mind-blowing. I'm just so grateful. I'm so honored. And that's the process so far, and that's what I've been working on since the closing of the property, just trying to get all of these puzzle pieces together, put everything in place so that we can get going with it. And yeah, I want to teach you all the process as it's going. So thanks for tuning in. You can thank me down below, comment, tell me if you have questions. I don't know if I can answer them, but I can try. And I'm just happy to share with you guys my process. All right, take care.